Hello everybody, welcome to United Review. My name's Stephen Howson, this is Abdul, and man, that was shit, wasn't it? Fucking garbage, actually.
I think you just got to look at the lineup and you almost know what's coming. Someone's just set himself up. It's like, I'm just waiting for it to happen. It's like, I'm setting himself up for a sacking, innit? Mental, absolutely mental. And my biggest fear was, when I seen those three defensive midfielders in there, which should never be happening. Absolutely should never be happening away from home. I think we should be setting up against sides like West Ham with a Pereira, Fred, Pogba. You got someone who's good enough to hold the ball. We've seen Pereira do that. Yes, it went wrong at Brighton, but
I don't agree. I don't agree if Pereira, Fred, Pogba away from home is how you want to rock it.
But at least you're going to have Matic in there, or just one, and not the other two. Or even Fellaini, if you want a bit of that physicality in there with Mark Noble and Aubameyang, that get involved in midfield, and Rice as well, who really get physical. So maybe Fellaini would have made sense with Pogba and Herrera or someone like that. But
like the video, lads, if you're enjoying the content, we're going to dive into all the Instat data pretty much soon. As soon as I can get into it. I think we've got a poll. If you've been watching all the way through, if you hit refresh, a poll should now appear just behind Abdullah's head. It's there now. The poll is Mourinho in, Mourinho out. I'm not telling you what I've picked, but let's go and have a quick look. I'll come back to that in a few minutes and see what you guys are saying in there. D's in the comments, something, brother. We're going for 500 likes. That's what's happening.
You know, first
I'm trying to get a positive out of today. That's what we're doing. I think
first talking point I'd want to speak about is McTominay.
Okay, so let's have a quick look at the average position of everybody this morning. So that is the average positioning. Very hard to even ascertain what formation that is just by looking at the average touches of everybody. Obviously, Smalling was playing in defence. Apart from that, it's not abundantly clear. There's clearly a midfield three, 31-27-6. That's your midfield three. That's Matic, Fellaini and Pogba. Very narrow from Anthony Martial. About normal there for Luke Shaw. Quite high there from Ashley Young. But McTominay, all over the place. Considering he's supposed to be playing right-sided centre-half, doesn't have the positioning of that kind of player. Now, we saw Ander Herrera played against Spurs in the right-sided centre-half role. Yeah. Did a pretty decent job. Certainly in the first half, you could understand what he was there to do. He was there to cover a specific player. He's got the mentality of someone that can do that defensive work.
What Herrera does really well, and what I enjoy watching from Herrera, is cleaning up and sort of always getting. We've seen him do it against Spurs in the FA Cup semi-final. If you remember, the amount of times he comes in behind Smalling, I think it was Jones that partnered him that day, if I'm not wrong, or Bailly, and he cleared up behind him a few times, and he really understands that defensive role, so it made sense. McTominay was tried in a back three in one of the games in pre-season. I remember watching, I think even 40 minutes in, I'm sure that Mourinho changed it. It was an absolute disaster in pre-season. I was like, the kid just couldn't understand his role, and you can't really blame the guy when he's in the team and you're asking him to be in a back three, but he just doesn't look settled. He can't read the game well, and then he puts him in a back two, as in like with him and Smalling.
Yeah, that was the maddest one. Was the back two when he leaves? There's obviously some sort of personal issue between Bailly and Jose, but there's obviously a personal issue between Martial and Pogba and Jose. So how do two of them manage to get games when there's a personal issue, but Bailly doesn't manage to get games? Because we've all said it, Bailly is our best defender now. It almost felt like self-sabotage bringing in someone like McTominay. Jose proving a point. I told you I wanted a centre-half, you didn't get me a centre-half. You can't leave a centre-half on the bench and start demanding that you get another centre-half by playing midfielders in centre-half. That's what it felt like.
If you really want the job, if you really got that connection with the fans and you really want to do the best for the fans, like you were showing in the away end against Burnley, then do the best you can. Do what you can, try fix what you got in terms of problems in the side, and push on, and that's what Sir Alex did. Obviously, we always compare with Sir Alex, but that's what he did really well, even with the likes of like Wayne Rooney when they had a bit of issues with him.
We've got McTominay's involvement here on the screen. As you can see, it almost looks like two sets of involvement there. It's so high up for a centre-half, and at all times he was played at centre-half as well. He wasn't played in between them. He was at all times supposedly a centre half. Now, obviously, there's a player that everyone thinks I've got an agenda against. probably right. Ashley Young, let's have a look at Ashley Young's touches and involvement today. Have we also got Ashley Young's passing as well? We have. Okay, we're going to have a look at that one in a second. So this is Ashley Young's involvement. Kept his position wide, very high. All the X's, there's a worrying amount of X's here just by Abdul's shoulder, just down here. That's where he's failed something and lost it. But let's have just a quick look at those. This is Ashley Young's passing. So you can see a lot of them coming back inside, a lot of them a bit simple, but look at all them. Very hard to see against this background because of how light the grass is, but I'll tell you the stats that he put in. 16 crosses, 2 completed.
I actually wanted to compare, I'm going to have a look at that, compare it with Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw took 5 corners, I think, and he hit 4 of them. He hit, and he's not a corner taker.
Luke Shaw didn't put any in from open play, but he put 4 out of 5 for corners.
Yeah. And that's
there you go, there's Luke Shaw's. But from open play, he was terrible. But he was 0 from 6, not 2 from 16.
To be fair to Luke Shaw,
4 out of 10.
Compare him with the likes of Martial and Pogba today, it was the way we set the team up. Like, it was so compact on that side and that's why Martial was actually coming inside for him. Like, Martial was really trying to get on the ball. And you can't really blame someone like Martial today.
Martial there, nowhere near the box. A lot of opportunities lost in and around the box. He had a lot of involvement in passing. Now, these ones here, in this kind of area, that was a lot of just quick one-touch passes. He was trying to spin in and move. Yeah. I thought, again, largely disappointing from him.
I really feel sorry for them, though,
from Lukaku.
The game didn't open up for them. I felt like Lukaku and Pogba and even Martial were trying to not do the extra bit and trying to keep it moving and obviously not frustrate Mourinho or whatever it was. And until Marcus Rashford came on and we went on that attacking spell where the game opened up, I felt like Martial and Lukaku and Pogba finally had that freedom to play in. And that's when Mourinho should have then stuck Matic and Smalling as a centre-back partnership, in my opinion. Matic, someone who's strong enough, got the strength, can play with the ball, has the experience when he's dropped in defence, like against Palace when we brought the game back. He's played in that role, he can play in that high pressure. Instead of putting McTominay, I don't understand that point. I think Matic was made for that, and then he hooks off Pogba. As soon as the game opens up for someone like Pogba to come into it, you hook him off. Like, what are you trying to do?
But let's go back to from the beginning. I like to try and look at a game tactically and say, what are United trying to achieve here? Now, sometimes you can spot it and you can say, these lads push up with the fullbacks, we're trying to get in behind them. These lads are weak at centre-half, we're trying to isolate this particular centre-half. I don't have a clue what United was trying to achieve today. I have no idea what United's tactics was. I don't really understand how we was trying to prevent what they did, nor how we was going to exploit.
We got pinned down right at the start of the game, and that was the main
by West Ham's midfield. Now, I think if you said to me, I tell you what, them forward 3 of West Ham, you've got to watch for them. I think everybody would have gone fair play. Yarmolenko, Anderson, and Arnautovic are 3 dangerous players.
I watched the last 3 West Ham games, and the way they were setting up was pure counter-attacking football, and they did really well with it.
But
and that should have been Murray, and they didn't do that because we allowed them to do that. Now Mark Noble isn't the best player,
absolutely not.
But he's good at keeping the ball. He's not a bad passer. He'll look for a pass and keep it moving in midfield. And we allow
their
to give those
and their midfield is substandard to United's, and they dominated the ball, and we allowed them to dominate the ball.
I felt like we gave them that option, though. I felt like it was handed to them. Like, not discrediting West Ham or anything, but if you look at Ashley Young here, I've got his take-ons. Some of those take-ons were absolutely disgusting to watch. If you just see them, there was one where he takes the guy on. I think it was whoever the left-back they had there, and then he loses it, and he does the same exact move. It's like watching a kid like trying to take someone on with the same exact move. And the crosses, one of the corners was unacceptable, absolutely unacceptable. The one where he literally passes them the ball. Like, I'm not saying he gave the ball away through the corner, just hit the first man. One of them he actually passed it them on the edge of the box, and they go on the counter. So it was almost a weapon for them, a weapon for West Ham having Ashley Young there. And the difference with Luke Shaw and Ashley Young for me today, Luke Shaw had tighter spaces to deal with, in my opinion. And that's why we've seen a lot of Ashley Young on the right, and he had a bit more space to work with, especially when Rashford came on and stretched the play.
Well, he puts a cross in early doors, doesn't he, For Lukaku.
Yeah.
By the way, I'll be taking questions first from the Patreon group. That'll be on the Discord chat. So if you're watching and you're on the Discord chat, I've got that open on here right now as well. So get involved with that. And if you don't know what that is and you're interested in what that is, we've just kind of really started using Discord for Matchday chat, and it's going down really well. If you want to know more about that, obviously this channel is supported. Everything that we're doing is supported by the absolute legends that we've got on Patreon, and we've started recording some behind-the-scenes vlogs as well. So definitely, if you want to get involved with those, then that's how you come and do them. I honestly don't know where to even start or begin to analyse that. And a lot of it, I'm thinking more and more, is that I don't know if the players have got the confidence in Jose to be the guy that can turn this around. You can say it's only 3 bad games consecutively. That's a lot. That is a lot.
Especially at a place like United. We've seen... I was chatting to you just before this game, I think it was yesterday, and I told you I'm feeling the Moyes Van Gaal vibe, and especially Moyes, especially not even Van Gaal. And frustratingly so, the difference with Moyes, a lot of it was end to end, and I'm not saying it's entertaining, but there was always something in the games. Like, it wasn't awful football to watch, it was just that he couldn't manage the team tactically, he was absolutely poor. With Mourinho, it's awful football, and we're not getting the results. Like, you look at Derby, he puts on, obviously Fellaini got the goal with that header in the end, but you were playing a championship side with height and trying to beat them in the air. Why are you playing them at their game? They're playing that every week in a championship, and that's where I lost it for me, Mourinho. In the space of a week, I've gone from, you know what, Mourinho, giving him the benefit of the doubt, some of the players, you know, lacked that extra bit against Wolves and really pushed back when they shouldn't have. And then completely changing my mindset and my opinion because of the way that he could have salvaged what he has currently at United over the past week. Like we said about the Pogba situation, again, I think Rio Ferdinand spoke about it. He had every option to keep that in the changing room. He knew the cameras were there. You know, this isn't a Roberto Mancini situation where he's grabbing Balotelli and they're fighting, where there's a couple cameras that are sneaked in and got it there and things got out of hand.
No, he allowed that. He knew that. It was weird.
It's really sneaking, and you don't want that type of vibe and that toxic. And then he says, and that's what I thought initially. He says that we've seen worse on the training ground, something along those lines, like.
See fights in the dressing room. Like, someone's got the cameras are in, you go, and you're professional. When you're about it, come on, they're not stupid. They're not stupid. Camera, man, like. Let's have a look at the average passes. Frequent pass combinations, if you want to get technical. Nothing going in towards Martial and Lukaku.
Yeah.
McTominay banging it over there to Young. Matic into Luke Shaw was a good outlet. Yeah.
I think our way back into that game was Fred, I did say. Unfortunately, when Fred comes on, I think it was meant to be Matic that comes off. Matic that drops into centre-half alongside Smalling, like I said. Fred, Pogba, you got someone who's going to play the ball. You still got someone with physicality like Pogba, and especially when the game's opened up there, you want Fred and Pogba on the ball. That they're going to make things happen. And I think Fred's really starting to come into it. It's just unfortunate with what's happening around us. I think he's starting to settle more on the ball, starting to understand his surroundings on the pitch. And it's really unfortunate what's happened with him, and he makes the completely wrong decision again. It's like he starts with that formation, and then just as about a bit of promise comes into the game, hooks off Pogba, and it's so frustrating to watch, man.
We've got some questions coming through on Discord. Let's have a look what's happening. Two Shot Tino. Considering Scott's positioning today, what do you think of Jose praising him in his post-match interview? I think there's a little bit of an element of he's thrown him to the Wolves. I'm not going to throw him to the Wolves in my press conference as well. He says he did a job. Now, he might have done some sort of a job. He might have done something that he was interested in him doing specifically. But he didn't play well, Jose. Like, you can't piss in my mouth and tell me it's champagne, which is what you're trying to do here. There's no way that was going to be a good performance there from Scott McTominay. It just wasn't.
The evidence was there for him. You know, Luke Shaw at wing back is nowhere near as good as he was at left back. We've seen that in pre-season. I wasn't impressed by Luke Shaw, and even he said I didn't have a great pre-season. And we've seen that. I think he was out of his comfort a bit in pre-season, the way that we're playing with the wing back. And today, you know, he wasn't. Obviously, we lost the game, but I felt he still tried. He still, you know, tried taking plays on. I think he's grown in confidence since pre-season. But the evidence was there for him. Why are you trying the same formation that you tried against some American side against West Ham, a team that's just starting to get back with form.
I mean, Chelsea are one of the top teams in the Premier League at the moment. They I mean, it was an early kick-off again for them, but they did a decent job against Chelsea, a very good job against Chelsea, a tough Chelsea. Arnautovic comes back into the team, a threat, a player that actually, Arnautovic alongside Lukaku would be chaos. He would be a brilliant partner up there for Lukaku. I don't even know. I mean, I can sit here, I can go through individual players and go, he had a good game, he had a bad game, he had a good game. I thought Chris Smalling had a pretty decent game, but ultimately...
I think Chris Smalling was left alone so much, and to be fair to him, nice time tackles, and some of the players just deserve props for dealing with this crap right now, man.
Right, you guys, give us some questions in the comments and we'll get digging through those. I'll have a quick look at what the poll is saying at the moment. I don't know how many have voted, but it's looking like 83% saying Mourinho out and only 16% saying in. I don't know where the other 1% has gone from. Where's the loan Valencia today? Is Ashley Young now our first choice right back, says James.
I spoke about Delo and how in the Young Boys game, when we were just chatting before, he wasn't hitting the crosses every time, as in getting it on Lukaku's head or whoever. I think he only hit one against Young Boys, but those crosses were brilliant. Those crosses weren't what we were seeing for the past 10 years. Like we haven't had the right back who's crossing well.
But again, he didn't do that against Derby. That player didn't turn up against Derby. He wasn't there.
He did put in the ball. He did put in a vital ball that Ashley Young wasn't doing against in that last minute for Fellaini. And to be fair to him, against Derby, as soon as we go down to 10 men, it was a struggle for him to have that right hand side by himself, where you know how it is with Matt. He hasn't got the pace to be that right winger, and putting him out there isn't enough for Delo. I spoke about how Fred is the one that you want to be coming out there and helping him out. For me, he should have started today ahead of Ashley Young, 100%.
In hindsight, yeah, I absolutely, completely agree with you.
Other players that
Howson saying R9 has a hint of Howson saying Lukaku has a hint of R9, idiot. Now, this is what happens when you watch fucking edited videos on Twitter. You're the fucking idiot, mate. Because if you actually watch the full video, you'll see that I say, don't misquote me on this one, because I know you're gonna, and I knew that was gonna happen. But here's what I was saying. At times, I was trying to say how poor Lukaku was against Wolves, illustrating the fact that the guy is so powerful, so dynamic, an absolute phenomenon moving forward with the ball. There was a time today where he broke, and you're like, Jesus, look at him. When he's in full pelt, that's what I said. There's things that are reminiscent of original Ronaldo in terms of his power. I didn't mention his dribbling. I didn't mention his finishing. I didn't mention his overall ability or anything like that. I'm literally trying to say how powerful and fast this guy is, but today against Wolves, he was fucking rubbish, and he didn't look powerful. He didn't look like he could beat someone. He didn't look like he even knew what a fucking step over was. That's what I was trying to say.
About the players left out of the squad, so we had Alexis Sanchez, Justin Lingard.
Yeah, I mean, are they going to feature on Tuesday night? I mean, now we're in the thick of things now. We are in the absolute thick of things now with Champions League football, back-to-back league football, and we've got some very difficult fixtures. Those games after, I think it's after the Juventus games, we've got Chelsea and then we've got City after the Juventus games. Come on. We are not going to get through all of this stuff without fucking it up at some point, I'm sure.
100%. Mate, you're getting into Juventus soon. You're getting to Chelsea, City around that time period, like you said. It's not looking great. Personally, I think it's time to let him go. It's just simple as that for me. Today was a statement of what he wants, and if this is what he wants going forward, an important Premier League game, what are you playing at? This isn't Mourinho in the Europa League in his first season, where coming towards the end of it is just sticking on a couple of players, giving their debuts, like Tuanzebe it was, McTominay, towards the end, trying to rotate the squad and whatever, you give him that. But what are you doing? You started the season. You need start
the season, and pre-season started like this.
This should be like a cup final for you today. This game, and that's why this and Derby, you should be playing to win every game. You should be playing to attack sides, especially sides like that. How do you expect to set up against the likes of Chelsea? You're going to stick McTominay there against Ronaldo. Are you having a laugh? Against Ronaldo? Mate, I was watching Juventus in the last game. Ronaldo doesn't have one single chance. The ball bounces, or the one chance he has all game, pounces on it. Sort of scuffs the shot, but he's there. Imagine sticking McTominay there. He had Arnautovic and he couldn't deal with him today. Absolutely embarrassing. And
the Valencia game is going to be a tough one. The Valencia game is definitely going to be a tough one. Now, on the subject of the manager, I was going to do a video. I actually, with Ben, one of the producers in here, I decided that I was going to do a video analysing Zidane's suitability. Now, there's a report just come through, beIN Sports. Before everyone gets carried away, it is Richard Keys, known bullshitter. But those in my Patreon group will attest that we've been talking about the possibility of Zidane being United's candidate from February, March kind of time, which at the time was like, but I guess it was maybe more knowledge that Zidane was always going to leave at the end of last season, regardless of whether we won the Champions League or not.
What do you think of Edward ever in there as well?
I don't know. It's interesting why Paddy was there, probably because he's recently played.
As well, but could be something. If he has a link to Zidane coming in and everyone wants in the club, because I wouldn't be surprised if Efra wants in on something around the club. He does have that connection with the fans, clearly. So it's really interesting to see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised if he's even gone, like, after this. Like, before.
I would be surprised to see Jose go now, but not after Valencia. I think if we don't beat Valencia, even a draw at home,
how does it work?
It's going to be toxic, I think.
Because how does it work in terms of contracts? Because if he walks out, he doesn't get his payout, does it?
No,
is that how it works?
Yeah.
So obviously, that's what I'm saying. Is he just coming out with these teams saying, yeah, I don't care, I'm going to stick McTominay and I've got Eric Bailly and I'm going to drop the likes of Jesse Lingard and those players out the team, or Pereira. Pereira, man, is absolutely quality. Imagine Pereira coming into this game trying to salvage something. It's exactly the man you want. I said this before the start of the season.
I just said on the Full-Time Dales review, I don't think there's anybody else that shows you the evidence they can come in and do better than what Jose Mourinho's got. So you're taking a massive gamble on someone with way less experience and way less CV that they can go and do something. You're gambling on potential, which might be the thing to do, because for the last 3 appointments you went with David Moyes and you went on potential a little bit there, but he didn't even live up to the track record that he'd assembled at Everton. You went with Louis van Gaal, who's got a track record of winning leagues, doing very well in the European Cup. He didn't live up to it. The football wasn't right. He rubbed people up the wrong way. There was issues. He gets binned. Jose Mourinho, most successful manager in world football, a guy that turns your home ground into an absolute fortress. This is what he does. He's done it for like 9-10 consecutive years. He's done it all over the place. It's not worked. Whether that's because he didn't get backed, whatever, I think his attitude needed to have changed. There's things going on with him in the dressing room. It might be at the time that a lesser manager gets more out of this team than he's able to.
In my opinion, obviously this is on a bigger scale because of what Zidane walked into Madrid, and that's why, for me, when I say I wouldn't mind seeing someone like Zidane in that side for United, because when he walked into Madrid, I've seen instant changes. I've seen Casemiro come in against Lionel Messi, literally shut Messi up in that game. We all remember that game, and someone can just say to you, but he's a defensive mid, you play defensive mid where you want him to be. But that's what he does. You know, he allows one of the fullbacks to push forward, create. He can have that with Delo. You know, he has a defensive midfielder who loves to clean things up, and I think Herrera would suit him for that role really well. He did a job on Dybala in the Champions League final.
But you've still got to remember,
Casemiro.
Like I said, I'll do the proper analysis video probably Monday. Hopefully get it out Monday. If it's late Monday, I might delay it till Wednesday. It might be a bit more pertinent on Wednesday. If you gamble now with Zidane, you've got to back the guy. He's going to need probably 200 million. At least, to bring in a couple of players that fit the profile that he wants, because the squad isn't balanced at the moment at all. So you're going to have to bring some balance into the squad somehow. This guy finished as far away from Barcelona as we finished from City last season, with a team that embarrasses ours. He's going to go from Ramos and Varane to Smalling and McTominay, essentially, at centre-half, or Jones. He's got Ashley Young at right back, not Carvajal. Do you know what I mean? He's got a midfield that doesn't have Marouane Fellaini. It's got Kroos and Modric, best player in the world, supposedly.
I personally think Zidane walks in, and especially the midfield, I think he works really well with that.
He also had a Ronaldo that was scoring a goal a game. Now, no matter what he's done, he might come in and get 25% more out of this team, which is what we're all kind of hoping. Yeah. But when you look at the evidence, what he did with a team of unbelievable footballers. And he still didn't get anywhere near that Barcelona team. Yeah. Very much what this United team and the City team are looking at in terms of a gap. We don't have the evidence that Zidane can come in. We don't have the evidence that anybody, apart from Mourinho even, could come in and do this. So if Mourinho can't do it, there's no obvious candidate for me. No obvious candidate. And Zidane looks to be the one that is the candidate.
There's more to it for me than tactics. I know it's saying that.
Man management is enormous. Man management is enormous. And I think that is something that we could say he probably is going to do. It seems like Pogba's already got his ear. It seems like Pogba's got a lot of respect for the guy. There might be something he might be able to get out of Martial. You would hope that most of the other footballers have grown up watching Zidane or hearing about Zidane at least.
Yeah.
So they could at least respect the guy for that. You've got to respect them winning 3 back-to-back European Cups. But there's no evidence that he's tactically able to compete in a championship season where he's able to do something in the league. You can say he got lucky. Yeah. I mean, there's no luck in winning 3 Champions Leagues on the fix. But
listen, first season of Madrid, I would have thought that, but I think what he did really well was take up a few roles at Madrid, you know, the director role and looking at the youth and all of that stuff, then moving on. And I think he really tries to understand the game and improves as a manager. And as you see their performances, yes, they finished further away. I think that's because they switched their aim to the Champions League, as you know, it didn't really start off well for them. But it's the fact how they turned things around. And Ronaldo had a really, really poor start to the season last season. People were saying he was finished. And he really found a way to get the best out of Ronaldo, to get the best out of Bale. And even though Bale had that, apparent fallout, he got 46 appearances. You know, he said, listen, you don't suit my system, but when I want to stretch the game, I will bring you on. I will switch it up. You know, he was bringing Asensio and Isco in at the right times, and he was getting the best out of his sides. And when we're talking about tactics, I think what he did against Juventus in that Champions League final was one of the best things I've seen in a final. Hands down. That second half, Juventus didn't see the ball.
A lot of people think I'm still trying to defend Mourinho. I don't know how you're getting that. I mean, listen to what I'm actually saying. Someone's saying Jardim is the answer, but have you seen where they are in the moment?
To be fair,
he was my choice last season. I thought
I
it'd be excellent.
had this discussion the other day with someone, and for me, Jardim, I think it's really unfortunate. Imagine building a squad with so much potential and having the right experience in there and having the right players in there, and then losing it, literally just losing everything.
Every time.
And it's unfortunate for him. But when we've seen him with what he's had at hand, we've seen him, and what I've really enjoyed with Jardim's Monaco side is that sort of 4-2-2-2 system, that diamond shape, and how he brought Silva in the middle, and when he was coming off the flanks and bringing Mbappe in, getting the best out of someone like Falcao, who just thought he was finished, and you know, a couple of seasons ago, and Jardim could be that guy. But for me, I really see, even as a brand, if we look at it in Ed Woodward's point of view, Zidane, Adidas, United, that mix is nice. Pogba in there. If he's looking at that, that's going to be big. You know, that's going to be absolutely huge. Having Zidane and Pogba as a brand for Adidas, that's pretty big. So there's definitely going to be people pushing for it. Like you said, we heard something in February, March time, and I'm not surprised by it. You know, you look at the other potential managers. Pochettino, look at him this season. He hasn't got that one game where you're like, oh, he turned it round. That's for me, that's what makes a manager, and that's why I have that interest with Zidane, because I think Madrid leave you exposed with the way they play sometimes, and that's always been Madrid. This is Zidane.
Yeah.
And I think what they did really well was bringing back games. They start really slow, but the way they're coming back into games, the way they come back into the seasons is exactly what United want. They want that fight back, and I think obviously having the likes of Ronaldo and that mentality is important, but I think Zidane really injects that, and if you can come into the side and really help out with that would be great. But for me, I said at the start of the season, after the Spurs game, you have a 2-week period to bring him in, just before that international break.
Yeah, there's another one coming up. Look, man, I am...
way too long for that, man.
I'm done in. Oh, we've got one more question here. Let's have a look. Legendary 628 says, I would highly recommend watching Zidane's half-time, halt time.
Was that the Juve one, I think?
Champions League final on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's what I've got to say. Bang the link in there, mate. I'll have a look at it. What Zidane said was so ordinary and cliche, somehow it worked. Thinking maybe he's got more to do with the players. Thinking maybe has more to do with the players than the manager. Maybe. I think man management is probably a big thing about it. So I'm going to leave it there. But thank you guys for tuning in. Go and give Abdul a follow on Twitter and subscribe to the guy. I'm empty. I feel I'm so disappointed. I feel absolutely nothing.
Just a waiting game now, isn't it?
Yeah.
See what happens.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Laters.